Hi, I've got a lovely program for you now. It's aimed at a beginner or level 1, maybe a confident beginner or somebody who wants to stick to the basic, lower moves. There are some modifications if you want to add on, of course, but essentially this class is all about the original style of moves from Pilates. So we're going to start by rolling the shoulders backwards and forwards and turning through the neck. That's it. Mobilise through those feet a little bit. Okay, should we do some big breaths? Let's get some oxygen in those lungs. So we're going to bend the knees, sweep the arms up, breathe in, and breathe out. And again, breathe in. This time we'll twist to the right as we breathe out. Take a look over your shoulder, try and lengthen through the neck, back to the front, same to the other side. Big breath in, and breathe out. Okay, so to prepare the mind, we're going to go into a little bit of balance. Plug one foot into the floor, tighten through the core muscles and stay your gaze forwards and just float the other leg into the air. Just hover it, support it if you need to. Arms can go out to the side. If you're settled, try stirring the foot around a couple of times to each direction. Still settled, kick the foot back and forth. Slightly more difficult though. Stir from the hip. Okay, let's do the other side. Plug the foot into the floor first of all. Core muscles in, stare your eyes and float. Try and keep the hips level, of course. Use your arms for balance and then circling the foot. Kicking the foot possibly if it's suitable. Stirring the leg round maybe. Okay, into our setup then. Remember, feet need to be hip distance apart, don't take them too wide. Try not to lock the knees, the pelvis is in neutral. Just in case you are a beginner, think of that pelvis as a bucket of water, full up with water. If you tip forwards, the water will spill out the front. Equally, if you tip backwards. We need that pelvis or the bucket of water to be central. Another way of thinking about it is pubic bone and hip bones level with each other, and the core muscles switched on in between ribs and hips. So a gentle tightening in of the belly button, a drawing inwards, trying to keep this area connected. Imagine doing up a freshly washed pair of jeans maybe, keeping that tension in the core muscles and gently zipping up with the pelvic floor. We always keep the rib cage down, shoulders down as well, chin towards the throat, lengthen up through the back of the neck. Close your eyes a second. We're just going to go through the breathing. To keep the core muscles firm and tightened, you need to take the air into the chest. So put one hand on your lower tummy area, one hand on the upper chest. As you breathe in, direct the air into that top hand. Bottom hand shouldn't be affected. So breathe in through the nose. Feel the chest and hand inflate slightly. As you breathe out through the mouth, the ribs deflate down. The hand softens down as well, but that bottom hand is not affected. Core muscles stay constant. You can release the arms when you're ready. Let's just take a moment to center the mind and body together. Feel the strength coming out from your core. Okay, from here we're going to do a few roll downs. I'm going to turn to the side, but you don't have to. Core muscles in. Breathe in at the top. As you exhale, drop the chin to the chest, collapse the arms and shoulders forwards, keep the tummy scooped, just let those hands gradually fall towards the floor. You could imagine a piece of wallpaper peeling away from the wall. But keep the tummy scooped up, whether you reach the floor or not doesn't matter. You can soften the knees as well if you need to, just don't let the knees touch. Then let's restack, belly button in, rebuilding all the way up to the top, nice and slowly. Keep those arms relaxed, chin on the chest, all the way to the top. Breathe in. Same again, exhale, chin to chest, collapse forwards. Keep breathing, all the way down. And in your mind's eye, see the spine stretching out, the space in between each vertebrae. Let's restack, using the core muscles all the way through. Keep it nice and slow. Okay, we're going to go to the side this time. I'd like you to keep the hips central when we reach over though. Core muscles in. Take left arm over right. Hips in the centre, remember. Turn at the last moment, lower down. Keep breathing. Bring yourself to the centre. Briefly look between your legs. Tummy muscles scoot. Restack in the centre. Keep those arms relaxed. Same to the other side. Right arm over left. Turn, slowly lower down, use your core. Come to the centre, briefly look between the legs and restack. We're going to do each side once more. Try and keep it fluid. All the way down. Briefly look between the legs and restack. Core muscles, remember, scooped up. One more time. Keep breathing. Into the chest, remember. Tummy muscles solid all the way through. Restack. Okay. I'd like you to take yourself to the back of your mat now. We're going to do a couple more roll downs, but we're going to add some press ups on the end. So core muscles switched on, heels underneath the hips. Breathe in at the top. Exhale, chin to chest, drop the arms and shoulders. Same again, collapsing in the centre. Tummy scooped, spine is stretching. This time you're going to take your hands and the knees to the floor. Press ups. Your easier press ups are going to be box press ups. Your hands must go wider than your hips, than your shoulders even. And definitely wider than your hips. Tummy in. Nose towards the floor, pressing the hands into the floor to press you back up. Chest does not go anywhere near the floor, just the nose. If you're a bit stronger, by all means, take the hands a little further forward. You decide which level is suitable for you, and you can continue with that level when we come back down. For now though, we're going to walk the hands back to the knees, curl the toes under, lift the knees and bottom up, put your heels down, chin to chest, slowly restack like we did earlier. All the way up to standing, using your core muscles to rebuild. The shoulders melt, head up last. Breathe in at the top. Exhale. We're going to do that one more time. So chin to chest, roll your way down. Keep breathing. Hands and knees to the floor. Remember, there's the box press-ups, wide hands, or the three-quarter press-ups. Bringing yourself forwards. Nose to the floor, not the tummy or the shoulders or the chest, just the nose. Okay, last one now. Now push your bottom back to your heels. Stretch those arms in front. And then if you can, take the forehead to the floor. Take those arms down by your feet. Okay, we're going to come onto our backs now. Grab a cushion if you need a cushion underneath your head. You need to lay down with your knees bent, feet on the floor, and heels in line with the hips. We're going to stay on the floor now, so I'm just going to change my camera angle so that you can see a little clearer. So, lying on the floor, you need to make sure you've got a right angle at the knee, and that will determine where the foot goes to the floor. Okay, try not to let the feet at any time get close to your bottom. Your pelvis once again needs to be in neutral, so feel free to tilt backwards and forwards. This time I'd like you to imagine that you've got a tray of drinks across your pelvis. Don't spill your drinks. Head rests down on a pillow if you want one. This helps to lengthen through the back of the neck. And for this one, the fingertips need to go to your hip bones. Your core muscles are switched on, of course, and your back has got that natural little gap between your back and the floor. Let's breathe in to prepare. As you breathe out, gently float one foot off the floor and hover the knee above the hip. Recognise the right angle is still there. Breathe in, put the foot back to where it came from, and breathe out to pick the other foot up. Do exactly the same. Breathe in, melt down. So this is called basic lift. This is just trying to reaffirm that the core muscles are supporting the spine as we move the legs. So, as we move the legs back and forth, the back should stay perfectly still, the core muscles stay connected. But underneath the fingertips, we need to suss out whether the pelvis is moving. We want that pelvis to stay still. So if your pelvis is tipping from side to side, it might be that you're pressing your feet into the floor. Try keeping the feet very light on the floor, tighten up underneath the belly button, and you should find you can find that power just underneath your belly button to keep that back in neutral. Stay with this if you find it a challenge and you need to keep working on it. For those who can settle the pelvis, your pelvis is still as you swap the feet over, you can go to the two-leg version. We go with one leg first as you breathe out. Breathe in, prepare. As you breathe out, you gently float the other leg as well. But notice there was no jolt or movement through the torso when the weight of the second leg came into the air. You breathe in to melt the first foot and the second foot down. You breathe out to float the second foot first this time. Breathe in, prepare, bear down on the belly button to smoothly float the other leg. Now for some people that is just too much. Here's a little trick for you if you wish. You breathe out to float one leg, breathe in, prepare. As you breathe out, tilt the pelvis backwards to soften into the floor, then float the other leg. And your back is more secure. It forces the core muscles to work that little bit harder, and it enables you to get two legs in the air and a little bit stronger. And in time, there's no doubt that you'll be strong enough to stay in neutral when you go to the two-leg version. So bear that in mind. If you need an easier version or a halfway house, soften the back down into the floor, squeeze those abs a little bit harder, and you'll be able to go to the two-leg version. Moving on to neutral as and when you can. Okay. Adding on, of course, you can cross the arms over the chest. That will make this version just a little bit more difficult. Okay, let's make this one the last one, melt down. And we'll stretch long now. Those hips probably need a bit of a stretch, and your abdominals deserve a little stretch as well. So from here, we're going to go to side kick. We're going to roll over onto one side. We need to be in a very straight line. Some people might appreciate having a pillow in between shoulder and ear. That's up to you. But a very straight line. Maybe use the edge of your mat to help you. We're going to balance on the thinnest part of our body. So tummy muscles are switched on, top hand in front. As you exhale, lengthen the legs, point the toes away from you, and you should find your legs will gently float away from the floor. Don't try and lift, just lengthen, and they should float. Check that that bottom knee hasn't accidentally dropped as well. So if you feel quite stable here, maybe pop the hand to the thigh, but do be gentle with your movements. You want to make sure that bottom hand doesn't grip the floor. You also want to make sure that your feet don't go behind you and your back arches. So do take care of that. If you really lose sight of your feet, then it might mean that your back's doing all of the work. Always make sure, body dependent obviously, that perhaps you can see your feet down there. But lengthening out as much as you can. If you feel stable, float the arm. Also, you can kick the legs. Do keep them straight, don't just kick them from the knees. You've got to kick them from the hips. That's quite tricky. Can be quite painful underneath as well. And just beware that you don't wobble around. Keep breathing, eyes on the horizon. Maintain that balance and use your core muscles. Okay, let's melt down. Hug the legs into the chest. We're going to come to seated for the next move. Do sit on a cushion if that enables you to sit tall. And the original move has your feet quite wide, but you don't have to go wide if you don't want to. You can have legs here, one in, one out, almost anywhere really, so long as you're sitting equally on both bum cheeks. So sitting up nice and tall, we're going to work through the waist. This is called spine twist. So fingers together. Roll the shoulders down and lengthen the neck, core muscles in. Try and switch those legs off if you can. We'll breathe in to prepare. As you breathe out, twist the upper body round to one side. Keep the nose, fingertips and chest in line. Breathe in, come back to centre, and breathe out to go to the other side. We're just going to rotate from one side to the other, like a lighthouse, going one way then the other, from the waist. You might find that the legs are trying to push you round. Try and avoid that instinct if you can. Switch the legs off. focus on the waist. If you actually touch your ribs and your waist, you might find that you can associate and connect with it a little better. For those who are more experienced, if you're used to this move, you can take the arms out. Lengthening the arms adds a little bit of weight to the move, but just take care, keep those elbows down. That'll help to keep the shoulders down. And the wide arms, you should never really be able to see too much of those hands. They shouldn't come round in front of you, for instance. They stay wide, so that you're working through the waist only. Keep breathing. You breathe out to the side, breathe into the centre, but you keep your movement constant. We'll do one more twist to each side. And release, give those shoulders a wiggle. Bring those legs in, especially if they were long, and just give yourself a little hug. And then we're going to lie down on the other side. Remember to bring your pillow with you if you want it for the side kick. So laying all the way down, again, bottom arm as straight as the body if you can. If you struggle with that, you can bend the elbow and rest your hand on your forearm. Maybe even use a pillow here to keep the back of the neck nice and long. Body and legs all in line. Core muscles are switched on. As you exhale, point and lengthen the legs, point the toes away from you and allow them just to float. For those who are settled and balanced, of course that top hand can gently drift to the thigh, so long as it doesn't send you off balance, so long as you don't send those feet too far back. Equally, don't rock back on your bottoms and let those feet come forwards. Stay in a very straight line. Core muscles in and breathe. Adding on, of course, if you wish. The legs obviously will be harder, but keep breathing, keep your eyes on the horizon and stay balanced. Check that bottom hand. And relax down. Hug the legs into the chest. So we're going to come to a seated position now for the next move, the roll up. Sitting towards the front edge of your mat, we're going to work the core muscles and stretch the back out a little. The legs don't have to be straight, they can be bent if you prefer. So bent legs or straight legs, it kind of depends on your body physique. If you tend to be a bit more apple shaped, this move is going to be more difficult for you. If the kind of person with long legs, you might well find this easier because you've got more weight in those legs because they're longer. Everyone's different. So, sitting up nice and tall, roll the shoulders back, core muscles are switched on. We'll breathe in to prepare. As you exhale, tuck your bottom under, collapse into your lower spine, and slowly curl your way back. Notice the difference between curling and leaning. Don't go back with the chest leading. You've got to sink and collapse and curl. You might go halfway back, you might go further depending on your experience. Core muscles in to draw yourself forwards. Beware, you travel backwards with this one sometimes. Curling back, locking into the core muscles to pull you forward. Aiming to keep those feet in contact with the mat all the time. Maybe going a little bit further and a little bit further each and every time. Keep breathing, keep those shoulders down. So when you draw yourself forwards, try not to reach with the hands. You don't want to stress the front of the shoulders there. Keep those shoulders and elbows wide to keep the chest open. You might get all the way to the floor, but can you get all the way back up again? Smoothly without jolting. Couple more then. Obviously you're going back to the level that suits you best. Keep the shoulders broad. Keep the feet on the floor. Last one. How are you doing? As you can see, I've travelled backwards a little bit there. Okay, and release. Sweeping the legs behind you now, we're going to go on to our front. Let's do back extension. Forehead to the floor, or maybe on the edge of a pillow if you have one. Hands down by your hips, palms face up to the ceiling. Keep the chin tucked under throughout, so the back of the neck is nice and long. Try and switch those legs off. They shouldn't move during this exercise. So core muscles are switched on. Imagine there's a hot plate underneath your tummy and you need to pull it in. Breathe in, breathe out. Reach the hands down the sides of the legs. That'll square off the shoulders. Tighten into the lower back. Float the chest. Keep the chin tucked under. Breathe in, release down. Breathe out, connect again. Reach. Square off the shoulders. Back of the neck nice and long. Breathe in to go down. This is one option for the arms. The other option for the arms is to take them out by the side, so elbows to the floor, wide by your shoulders. As you exhale, think of the shoulders, drawing them down, lengthening the neck, but don't press into the hands. Again, you're still tightening into the lower back to lift the chest. And breathe in to melt down. Somebody who's more experienced and stronger, you might want to allow the arms to float as well. But notice how the feet stay down. It's a smooth float and lengthening lift. It's not a jolty, jerky spring up and down. Shoulders away from the ears all the time. Breathing out to float up in your chosen level, and breathing in to go down. Let's do 2 more. Shoulders away from the ears. And release. We're going to come on to all fours now and do a cat stretch. Just stretch out that lower back. So tuck your bottom and chin under. Press the hands down into the floor, lengthen through the spine. Okay, we're going to go on to our back again now. Use your pillow if you want to, underneath your head. So lying on your back. This is called single leg stretch. So I'm just double checking that I've got space here. Right angle at the knees, like we did at the beginning. Pelvis is in neutral, core muscles are switched on. There's a variety of levels with this one. We're going to start at the beginning and keep adding on. Please stay at the level that suits you. So hands on the floor next to your hips for now. Pelvis is in neutral, core muscles switched on. Chin tucked under. Breathe in to prepare. As you breathe out, just like we did at the beginning, we're going to float one leg into that right angle position, knee above the hip. Now breathe in to prepare. As you breathe out, you're going to stretch the leg forwards, take the hands off the floor, fingers go back whilst toes go forward, but everything connects in your belly button. The back does not arch, the chest does not lift up. Breathe in, bring the arms and the leg back. You breathe out to stretch again. So be mindful of keeping that neutral spine, pulling down with the belly button as fingers and toes stretch in opposite directions. That connection is held between ribs and hips. Shoulders stay away from the ears. Try not to shrug the shoulders up to the ears. So this is obviously your single leg level. You want to aim to do around about 12 of these and then switch over to the other side. So you might want to do about 4 or 5 more and then swap to the other side with exactly the same rules. I'm going to quickly just go through the 2-leg version in case anyone wants it. So as we did before, you smoothly float the other leg in the air as well. Take care, only one leg works at a time. Core muscles are switched on. Breathe in to prepare. As you breathe out, stretch one leg and 2 arms. The other leg hovers. Maintain your torso. Breathe in to bring them back. Now the other leg goes and the arms go again. And breathe in to bring them back. So the arms go each and every time. The legs go one at a time. Now, as I said before, if you need to, 2 legs in the air, you can tilt the pelvis backwards, flatten into an imprint. It forces the core muscles to work a little harder, but it does safeguard the back. So it's up to you whether you want to be in imprint, as I am now, it's only very subtle, or whether you want to be in neutral and can maintain that neutral when you stretch. Okay, so hopefully those doing the single leg, you've done the same amounts on each side now. So everyone, I would like you to hug into the chest and relax. Just rock from side to side. And then take one foot on the floor, stretch it long. And we'll swap over. Coming up to seated then, this is a short move, it's called the boat. It's a balance on your bottom. So fingers can go underneath the knees or in front, core muscles are switched on, drop the shoulders back. You're going to lean back with a very straight back. Notice the difference between collapsed and straight. You're pushing your lower back slightly forwards, hovering those feet off the floor. Core muscles in. Try and keep those legs parallel. The knees might want to hang out to the side. Force those inner thighs to work and keep the legs parallel. For anyone who's more experienced or you're finding this one relatively easy, you can take the hands away from the legs, but the core muscles switched on, nice and open through the chest. Shoulders drawn down, neck nice and long, legs in parallel. Keep breathing. Okay, and gently come down. Stretch the legs out. We're going to go back to the floor and we're going to do the bridge now, and that will also stretch those hips out. So lying yourself back down. You don't need a pillow for this one though, because we're lifting our hips off the floor. So knees are bent, but this time your heels are much closer to your bottom. Feel as if those heels are underneath your knees. Your pelvis is in neutral and your core muscles are switched on. Hands rest on the floor. We're going to manipulate through the spine. So breathe in to prepare. As you breathe out, squeeze your tummy muscles and squash your back into the floor. Slowly peel back, tilting and lifting, using your core muscles to squeeze and pick up from above. Try and avoid squeezing your bottom and pushing from below. See if you can mentally pick up from above. You come into a straight line. Now those knees, they might have dropped outwards. Don't let them. Think of your alignment. Keep the knees in line with the hips and the heels underneath those knees. Let's roll the spine back down. Squeeze in your tummy muscles as tight as you can. Press the back into the floor, one vertebrae at a time, and gently return to neutral. Breathe out, tilt back, peel up, check the legs. Try not to squeeze your bottom. Core muscles working to lift the pelvis and the spine in turn. And melt down. You could imagine perhaps a scorpion's tail, tightening and curling up, and then releasing and fanning back out again. And again, tilt back, peel up. Let the pelvis curl the spine up off the floor. Keep the legs parallel. Breathe in to go down. Little add-on for you if you want to make this a little bit more challenging. Take the arms off the floor, cross the arms over the chest, and continue to peel. The brain wants to use your legs much more. You have to focus more on your core. Keep breathing. Core muscles in. Tilt back, peel up. And breathe in to roll down. Last one then. Hug the legs into the chest. Gently rock from side to side. How are you doing? We're nearly there. We've just got the saw left and then a little neck stretch. The saw doesn't sound very pleasant, but I can assure you it's a nice stretch. Again, as with all seated moves, you can sit on a cushion if you prefer. You do need the legs quite wide with this one though, as wide as you feel comfortable with. Core muscles are switched on, arms out like a ballerina, drop the shoulders down. Little fingers going to go towards opposite little toe. Keep your bottom glued into the floor though. So breathe in, prepare. As you breathe out, twist through the waist, reach little finger towards little toe, keep the legs straight, keep your bum down. Breathe in, lift up, check the shoulders, and breathe out to go to the other side. The opposite arm just reaches back behind you. Breathe in to lift up, and breathe out to twist. And the aim is you slowly get further and further and further, closer to the little toe. Don't worry if you're nowhere near. It's all individual for everyone. Pertaining to flexibility, you might find that one side will stretch further than the other. That's quite normal. But keep your bottom glued, keep the legs straight, and keep twisting with those shoulders down. One more to each side. And come up into the middle and give the shoulders a wiggle and bring those legs in. I'm going to turn my back to you now to show you the next and final stretch. It's for the shoulders and the neck. And take one hand behind you, take a hold of that hand and pull it across to the other side, allowing the head to tip to the same side. Nice long stretch through the neck muscle. And then we'll gently swap over, pull hand and tip the head to the other side. And release. Okay everyone, I hope you enjoyed that and I'll see you again soon. Take care.